Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright people, Anthony Yarde got back to win ways here tonight, okay? Against an opponent, Koykov, I think is how you pronounce the guy's name. The guy's name was extremely difficult to pronounce, and you know me with names, I ain't the best. But this was always going to be a run out. This was always going to be, I mean, this guy's last opponent, I think he'd lost his last 8 or something fights and he was 48 years old. You know, his last win, I mean, not himself. But yeah, that kind of says all you need to say. And he looked pretty poor in there. But the BT Sport team were really trying to big Anthony Yarde's performance up. And I was kind of like, thinking to myself, am I missing something here? Because I was just watching this fight as it is. And I go on to Element, Hatman's Element group. And what I was thinking watching this, they were all thinking in the chat, in the boxing chat. Because I was like, he doesn't look particularly good. Look, he did what he needed to do, Anthony Yarde. But defensively, I was looking at Yarde thinking, this guy is tagging you. And, you know, that's not a good sign to be getting tagged by someone as crude as this. Yeah, this guy came to fight. And, you know, he obviously was in there trying to do his best. But I was to look at that thinking, you need to tighten that defense up. Because it's all well and good letting shots from this kind of guy go in. You shouldn't really be taking them anyway. They weren't massive shots, but still, he was getting clipped a bit. But if you do that against Beterbiev, you're going to have problems. Serious, serious problems. You don't want that. So, I think the fact Yarde was inactive definitely didn't help. I felt he was wasting a lot. I feel that Yarde, he wastes energy sometimes if you see him in the ring. You know, I think against Kovalev he gassed late on. And I think against Lyndon Archer he was worried about his gas tank. But I just think Yarde, when I look at him, I think the way he stands, the way he moves around the ring, I think that he wastes energy sometimes in there. And I feel that that's something he's going to need to work on as well going into this Beterbiev fight. I'll talk about him, Beterbiev, in a separate video. I'll just touch on his performance briefly here. Yarde did what he needed to do in this fight. There definitely needs to be improvements in spite of what the BT Sport team were saying. I didn't think this was a particularly convincing performance, if you ask me. You know, a lot of people in Hatman's Element group were saying they feel it's a mismatch, him versus Beterbiev. Now, I don't feel it's a mismatch, and again, I'll probably upload a separate video either some point this evening or tonight or tomorrow morning, one or the other. I'll get recording as soon as I finish this. But when I upload it, yeah, that's just down to when I feel like it, basically. But I don't see him versus Beterbiev a mismatch per se, but I think that based on this performance, Yarde needs to be better. He absolutely has to be better. And I don't think that it will help the fact that BT Sport were making it out as though Yarde was just flawless in there. Yeah, he picked the shot well. He switched it up the head and body. But as I said, defensively, he was making a few little mistakes in there. He was getting clipped a bit by a guy who was very crude, very basic, very run-of-the-mill. I'm amazed that this guy has so many knockouts because it seemed like all he could throw was arm punches. You ever see that when you see guys and they've loads of knockouts? You know, they say like they're like 18-2 and they've 16 knockouts. And you look at them, you're like, how the hell did you ever get a knockout with punching technique like that? You know, it shows the level of the opposition that they must have been fighting. So Yarde, back to winning ways. Immediately after the fight, George Warren, who was there, not Frank Warren, George Warren, his son, was there. He announced that yes, it's 100% signed and sealed, January the 28th, OVO Arena, the old Wembley Arena in London. That is where the fight's going to take place. Standard BT Sport, not pay-per-view. Thank God for that. They'd never have. That would have tanked if they'd done that on pay-per-view, in my opinion, anyway, because it's a great fight. It's a great fight, but not pay-per-view. Neither guy is a big enough name to do pay-per-view with. So I'll talk about that in a separate video. 100% I'm going to try and go, well, I'll definitely go to that fight because I know the Wembley Arena well enough. I don't know that part. Well, that part of London is easy. When you get off the tube and you literally walk down Wembley Way, you're there. So I will definitely try and get over for that one because I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. And I don't think it's a mismatch. And I'll talk about that in a separate video. But in terms of Yarde's performance tonight, definitely a lot more boxes need to be ticked for me to be convinced that he's going to beat Artur Beterbiev. So I hope to God that Yarde doesn't take what the BT Sport team were saying about it being a brilliant performance. Look, he did what he needed to do against the guy he was clearly better than. And he looked massive compared to him. I mean, that guy looked like a super middleweight. Yarde looked like a cruiserweight in there. But definitely performances need to be made from Anthony Yarde if he's to give himself any realistic chance of beating Beterbiev. So we'll talk about that in a separate video. For now, I'll leave you with this. Hope you enjoyed the video. People, smash the like button if you could, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to you. Peace.